And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, man?
How's you hanging, brother? Good day to all of our orphans out there. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Hopefully you did some research on the topic we're going to discuss today, Bill C-2. If you do have any questions for our resident expert, he'll be along shortly. Yeah, it's did anything else happen in the news today? I don't know. The world's messiest divorce, perhaps?
It seems like we're having issues with the X account on the Political Orphans.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. This morning, how do you call it? You need to have a premium version in order to.
Oh, fuck.
And it expired, so I paid for one of them this morning. I thought it was the right one, but it looks like it wasn't.
You know what that is? Because we were using my card. I just got to get a new bank card, and I forgot to just transfer it over. So I was trying to use the old one. I'll send you the replacement. But yeah, if you can't, I'll try to get it back onto mine. But I'll send you whatever you spent on there. We'll figure that out. Because
no, it needs to be done in order to stream. We can't stream to the X account.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to go there right now, and I'll figure that out here. Hang on.
Yeah, I'll take some of the comments because they're talking about something I want to talk about no matter what. So we just need the Premium Plus in order to be able to stream.
Yep, I got you.
Let me see if it's still not working. A premium account? Yeah, exactly. It's not premium. So let's talk about that. So what's up, wise guy? What's up, short circuit? What's up, misfit? I showed that video on my fucking Instagram this morning. This is so ridiculous, misfit. The fact that our new public safety minister, the Minister of Public Safety of Canada, doesn't even know what a NARPAL is, and he didn't even know what the name of the course that guys like me had to take in order to be a licensed firearm in Canada, a firearm holder in Canada. Absolutely insane. And this is the guy that's in charge of the RCMP. He doesn't even know what it is.
What had happened? Okay, get me up to speed.
Hold on. Let me find the video because obviously I talked about it this morning. I posted about this already. So let me find the video. I wasn't planning about doing this, but hey, when in Rome, as they say. Yep. Let me bring up my Instagram account and I will. Oh, I think I have it on my X too. Hold on. I will find the video for you. It's so the same guy that passed the new bill for Bill C-2, what we're going to be talking about most of the show today. He was questioned. I believe this was yesterday by a member of parliament. So let me share my screen. I got it right here. So since Misfit brought it up, we'll talk about it. So here we go. So basically, our Minister of Public Safety, the man who the RCMP reports to, the police force who oversees licensing, registration, training, and enforcement related to firearms in Canada, Gary something, I cannot pronounce his last name, can't even tell us what an RPAL is, or CFSC. So here's the video. It's absolutely ridiculous, but here's the video that Misfit's talking about.
This is know what an RPAL is.
No, Minister.
I do not.
Member.
Does the minister know what the CFSC is?
I'm a minister.
I do not know.
Member.
I'll stipulate, Chair, that is the Canadian firearm safety course that all gun owners in Canada have to do to get their firearms license. Has the minister ever done the Canadian firearm safety course?
Yeah, I'm a minister.
Speaker, is my third week on the job. No, I have not.
Then why are you on the job?
Does the minister know what safety classes and safety demands are expected of law-abiding Canadian gun owners?
The Honourable Minister.
This is not about law-abiding gun owners, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member.
How can the minister make that claim when he doesn't know the basic fundamentals of law-abiding gun ownership in this country, Chair? Chair.
He can't. Plain and
Does the
simple,
minister
he
know-
cannot. He can't. There is no way that a guy that doesn't understand our licensing process, how law-abiding citizens are more looked at than convicted pedophiles on parole. How can that guy ever be responsible for our safety if he doesn't understand simple programs that are put in place to allow people like me to own firearms in Canada legally? It is absolutely fucking crazy that this is the case, but that guy's getting it, just got exposed, and he looked like an idiot. Plain and fucking simple. But this is what Misfit was referring to. So what do you guys think? You think that the guy that's responsible for the RCMP, the law enforcement agency that takes cares of everything gun related in Canada, should at least be aware of what an RPAL is, which is your restricted possession and acquisition license, meaning that you are, well, at least used to mean that you were allowed to own firearms that have a limited stock, meaning handguns, AR-15s, Tavor, favorite platform out there, guns that are considered with a shorter barrel or that are classified as not hunting rifle, which is complete bullshit because the 223, an AR-15, the 223 platform or a Tavor, you can easily hunt deer with that, no problem. You don't need a 308 in order to hunt deer. If you can, I've seen guys hunt deers in the US with a 22. So you don't need much if you know how to shoot. But the point of the matter is that the person that is responsible for our the guy that's responsible for firearms, basically, let's call a spade doesn't know this.
Right? He should at least know what it means. Like, come on, man. Like the argument
problem,
that, go ahead.
But the problem is that this is what is always happening with the liberal government. Always puts people in place that have no idea what firearm is all about, what's the registration. Even fucking Carney during the election was saying that anybody found guilty of a crime or abusing their partners should not be able to own guns. That's already the case, asshole. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they're always trying to say that they're going to strengthen our laws that are already in place. The laws that we have to obtain, what a guy like me had to jump through in order to obtain firearms in Canada is insane. Not only that, but to keep them. Like, my name is ran in 2 federal databases on a daily basis to make sure that over the past 24 hours, I did not commit a crime. And if I did commit a crime, that means that they will come to my house and take my firearms away. That is how it is right now as we speak. So don't give me this shit that it needs to be worse, it needs to be more strengthened, and we're the problem, because we're not the problem. Guys like him are the problem. Like, this is a problem that our fucking safety minister can't even tell us what an RPAL is. So he obviously doesn't understand our process. He doesn't.
Well, no, exactly. And that's I feel like this is what the liberals tend to do. Like, rather than put in people who are already expert, like, there should be some every minister, every cabinet member should have some background in the thing that they're the minister of. That is the whole point of it. But how they do it is they treat it as just rewards, just titles to give out to your political allies, and it doesn't matter what knowledge they have. And the excuse that, well, I've only been 3 weeks on the job, is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. One, first of all, you should have never been given this job if you don't already have some background in this portfolio. And two, if you don't have any background, then you need to fucking get up to speed real fast. And 3 weeks is more than enough. 3 days is more than enough to get up to speed on the absolute basics. It hasn't been working.
It should have been done from the get-go.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It should have been done from the get-go. It wasn't. And as you said, this should have been done prior to him getting that job.
Well, yeah, it's a given. Like,
but yet, obviously, they didn't. Right? Obviously, they fucking did not.
Yeah, like there should be every person should have some knowledge of the thing. There's some background. Like the Minister of Defense should have some. If he's not a veteran himself, he should have some history, some background. Even just, I don't know, fucking, he's comes from a military family. Something, so that you understand the culture behind it. Not just given out as, you know, political titles like a nobility title, a duke or an earl. And that's how the Liberals treat it, right? They treat it as rewards to political allies.
And unfortunately, that is the reality. Unfortunately, as we speak right now, that's the reality. And once again, the Liberals are showing us that we are not putting the smartest people we can. And, you know, they're the type of people that will actually listen to what's the term I'm looking for? Not pro-gun, obviously, but the complete opposite. The people that believe that
anti-gun or gun
anti-gun activists. Yeah, let's call it anti-gun activists. They will listen to them, but they will not have people that know what they're talking about taking decisions about guns, because that would mean that, oh, we're going to become the US and we can't have that. It's fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, that's
absolutely ludicrous. By the way, unfortunately, it still doesn't work. The stream.
No. It's got to be upgraded. I can't do it on my end because you've already done it on yours. You'll have to upgrade to the middle version.
It doesn't allow me. That's the problem.
Does it say there's a problem on our end or something? I find X is really really weird about
stupid.
This stuff. It makes it really hard to upgrade. Like, we're trying to give you more money. As far as right now, it's restreamed to that, but I'll contact the help desk after.
It's just a shame that the day that it should have been here, I just canceled it.
Okay, let me try on then. Let me try.
I just canceled. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to upgrade.
It's really hard to do. Yeah, I've tried it.
It's so stupid. So stupid. Upgrade.
Something went wrong on our end. Please try again.
You're already subscribed. It tells me that I'm already subscribed, which I'm not. Oh, it is the dumbest fucking thing.
Try it on your if you can go on the computer, if you have the
I don't have access. It thinks I'm when I try to access it, it tells me that I'm a bot. It's a dumb X is very shitty for that. Either way.
We'll figure it out.
What was I going to say? Well, yeah, if you want to look into your site, because I know you were taking care of it before, but unfortunately it's not taking me whatsoever right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna
let's see what we're talking about. Laughed my ass off, yeah. But I wasn't laughing. I thought I couldn't believe this shit. David B, cheers from SQ. SK? What's going on, man? Sylvie, guys, I don't see the political orphans.
No,
I know I'm not
should be there now.
I'm not able to stream there. Can you contact them now if you can? Because having the guest that we're gonna have not being able to stream on our platform is kind of a bit ridiculous.
Well, he'll be able to stream.
No, but we get a lot of our views from our X account, like the political orphan account, and now, like I said, it's not streaming from there, and resharing it doesn't do much when it comes to the views. So, are you able to contact them through text just to say like, what the fuck?
But I don't think it's going to be fixed the next 10 minutes.
It's just a matter of upgrading it. It gives me an error every single time I try to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do what we can, but the X count's not really the big deal anyways. It's all the same thing. It's all going to the same place. Our guest should be able to stream onto his.
No, you're not getting what I'm saying, man. Most of the people that are on here listen from there, listen from the political.
And they can do so now. It's retweeted there now.
Okay, I'm not going to get into an explanation as to how this is not the same, but it's not the same, man.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you. Let's go on with the show.
Gary Barrett, it's a bad joke. Well, that's the past 10 years has been a bad joke, man. It's just they're just continuing the same thing. And you know, the worst joke is not even what the liberals are doing. This is what I'm realizing, and you're gonna see it more today with the guests that we have. But the liberals, I expect them to act the way they're acting right now. This is what they've been doing for at least 10 years. What blows my mind is the fact that conservatives are not outraged by this. Like, you have that guy, the guy that was talking in the video I posted. I'm not even sure who his name is. Andrew Layton from London, South Ontario, from St. Thomas, London, South Ontario. He's talking about this, but not a lot of other people are. Like, how is that not an outrage by every single conservative out there? Same thing with Bill C-2. As much as it's a bad joke, I'm not seeing the outrage out there. I don't see the NDP going crazy on this. I don't see the conservatives going crazy on this. I don't see the Bloc Quebecois going crazy on this. And this is the same parties that decided this week that, you know what? Yeah, we want to vote on Monday, but we're not going to vote against the liberals right now because it's not the right time to bring the government down. Like, what the fuck is it going to take? And
yeah, I heard
what the fuck is it going to take for the conservatives at least to wake the fuck up? Because I'm not seeing it, man. I'm not seeing them complaining about this. Should be plastered all over the place, just like Elon Musk. And if Elon Musk and Trump breaking up can cause this much ruffle, how the fuck is a bill like C-2 not on everybody's radar right now? Why is not everybody talking about this right now? So it's on us, Gary. As much as I agree it's a joke, conservative people or liberal, common sense liberals are not doing enough to fight this. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It blows my mind.
I think even if even if the argument is that, oh, it's not the right time to bring down the government, they should at least be talking about it. They should at least be speaking up about it. I don't understand what they believe their job is. If it is not to be the opposition, that is their job, the official opposition. We're going to see here pretty soon. There's some real concerns with this bill. And honestly, they're not even partisan concerns. They're not left, right. They're fundamental Charter of Rights and Freedoms concerns. And if nothing else, they should at least be sounding the alarm.
They should. They definitely, that there's no doubt in my mind that they should, but they're not. They're not. Like, how is it that two guys like you and I could take the time to read the full bill, not only do a full episode on the bill, but take the time to read it even more, to find a lawyer that specializes in this, to get on the show with us, to actually make sense of it all, to make sure that we're not fucking crazy, that our lack of law, the fact that we're not lawyers, just to prove that, is it us that's wrong? But I can tell you it's not. It's not us that's wrong. So how is it that you and I can make the time to find that when the people that are getting paid more than 200 grand a year, that work for us, that were elected to protect us, our rights and freedoms, are just two fingers up the nose and like nothing's fucking happening? Like it was said yesterday on the podcast, are they too busy choosing fucking Speedos? This is the type of bill that if I was in Parliament, I would want the summer vacation to be fucking canceled. Because I don't care right now. And, you know, I got a video that's getting a lot of attention on Instagram right now. And it's the video from John Carpay, the guy that's going to be here today. I just reposted one of his videos and people are like, this is outrageous. Like, what the fuck is going on? Blah, blah. I'm like, okay, guys, hold on. This has just been introduced. It's just been tabled. They haven't voted on it yet. They haven't debated it yet. So it just hit the House of Commons. Nothing has been taken. Like, it's not law. Don't get this wrong. But the point I'm making on Instagram is because people don't understand the way it works, so I explained it. But my point is that the Liberals feel confident to even table this shit. This is the type of bill that should never be tabled. That should never be introduced in any way, shape, or form. And even if it's debated and it ends up not passing, and God knows that you and I are going to create a shit ton of content around this to make sure that it never gets tabled, it never gets passed, sorry. Just the fact that they have the audacity to try to pass this, coming from the same twat that can't even tell me what an RPAL is problematic. Yeah. This is a problem that everybody should be outraged by.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, you know, you've got to, regardless of whether you're going to take down the government or not, you need to be at least speaking up about this. There's serious concerns, you know, in this bill, and I don't really understand the strategy or direction that the Conservatives are taking on this. But you know, every day it almost seems, you know, the argument that they're just controlled opposition seems like it has more and more weights to it. Detective Gaines, thank you for that, sir. With a little
thank you, sir.
Super chat tip. We appreciate that.
Guys, if you are on X right now, it seems like we're having issues with our Poli Orphan account. If you see it from my feed or from Rob's feed, help us out and reshare this stream. If you want to join the conversation, like all the comments that you're seeing at the bottom right of the screen right now, make sure to join us on Instagram. Goddamn. On YouTube.
On YouTube,
at the Poli Orphans, because this is where the conversation takes place. And if you believe that what we're doing is worth supporting, we do have a membership. I don't want to say scheme, membership program. Program is better. A membership program where you can support, help us. $2.99 a month. It's not even a cheap coffee, man. And that will give you access to the Discord server that is member only Discord server. And funny enough, John, that's coming on the show today, was recommended by Cheryl. I asked, hey guys, at everyone, does somebody know a lawyer that could explain Bill C-2? She mentioned it that same day. I reached out. I got confirmation. That was 2 days ago. I got confirmation yesterday he was on the show, and he has a massive platform. So just to show you, if not only would you help support us, but you would be directing the show with us. You literally have an impact directly on the show and what the subjects are that you want to talk about. So here's my sales pitch. I'm done.
Nope, 100%. And Gaines says he isn't able to get the monthly sub to work, so just tip now and then. Well, we appreciate that, sir.
We will take just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip. Yeah. Yeah,
that's my sell. At least I swear.
Yeah, that's your sales pitch. Just
I swear, just the tip.
So we appreciate that.
Misfit's comment. This is exactly how not this one. Like, this is exactly how I feel. I don't know a thing about my job, but just trust me, bro. It's okay, bro. Just trust me, bro.
Yeah,
this is exactly how I feel.
That's right. You know, that's how exactly how it comes off. Misfit also says, may not be law right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're already doing shady shit. Like, well, the thing is like, as we went through the process of becoming law the other day, there's some steps, and there's going to be debates. There's going to be changes made. It's going to go into a committee. That's why they should be speaking up, because it's not like it can actually have real benefits. It can lead to real changes if they speak up, but they have to actually speak up. I don't understand the strategy of just not doing anything, allowing them to pass on a voice vote, the no confidence motion, just letting their bills sail through without speaking. That's not how the opposition is supposed to work.
And what worries me the most about this is the fact that they tabled this right before a 3 months vacation. So they're telling us, the government is telling us that they don't have time to give us a budget because vacation's coming, but they had the time to table a bill of 140 pages that is changing our border security, and I'm air quoting very heavily here, but they can't produce a budget.
Yeah.
Really?
It's,
This is the sales pitch you're going for? This is what I'm supposed to believe, that you
Well,
don't have the time to table a budget, but you had the time to table this shit. And as you will see today when we go through the bill, they are amending the criminal code. They are changing our existing legislation right now to give the government more power. And but this is okay. This they had the time. So are you trying to tell me that our safety minister said himself when defending himself, while defending himself? Wow, I'm turning into you.
Turning to me.
When he tried to defend himself in Parliament after being asked, do you know what the RPAL is? Hey, bro, I've only been on the job for 3 weeks. You've only been on the job for 3 weeks, but you've already tabled a 140-page bill that is literally changing our criminal code. Which one is it, asshole? Which one?
Yeah. I mean, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to use the I don't know what I'm doing because I'm so new here, then what are you doing in your job at all?
Yes, see, that I agree. Short circuit. Put him on the spot. He better sign up for the courses. He should have a valid PAL. And I agree with you 100%. If you're the one responsible for it, you should have to go through every single step that I had to go through. Not only taking your PAL, but taking your RPAL. You should have to wait and understand how long it takes. You should have to provide all the references that I had to provide. You have to provide references from people that you know for at least 5 years, that the RCMP will call and interview over the phone to literally preach for you. Like, you are almost signing a blood oath with the government in my name. So that guy should have to go through every single step I have to go through. He should understand what it actually takes and how hard it is to obtain those licenses in order to be responsible to manage the organization that oversees everything firearm related in Canada.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a DEI hire. That guy's a DEI hire. That's all he's showing.
As Joe Strum says, I don't know which is worse, appointing clueless people to regulate government agencies or appointing executives from the industries being regulated to regulate themselves. Yeah, one is the Canadian style and one is the American style, and they're obviously both they're both a terrible way to govern the country.
We got both. Both. So we got ministers that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And on top of that, we have an ex-banker, WEF globalist, that's the prime minister. So we got both. At least you guys in the US, you just have one of the two. We have both. And we see it. We fucking see it. It's right there. Fuck. So we got the best of both worlds, I guess.
Yep, that's right. Detective Gaines says here regarding Bill C-2. C-2 is worded in such a way that is measures in there that are 100% to appease Trump, and that concerns me. It's interesting. What specifically? I'm curious as to what specifically what you're referring to. Back to the PAL discussion. Yep. Leah just says my PAL took 18 months to get because someone retired. My PAL got lost. Yeah, fucking it's bureaucracy, right?
But that's what if you've never dealt with the RCMP to get your PAL, it's insane. Just my renewal took about 4 months, 5 months. I had to call them multiple times in order to provide info. I'm like, nothing has changed. I literally live at the same place. I don't have more hair. It's the same. It's the fucking same. You have all this information already. Took months and months and months to figure it out. And I made sure to start the process months before it expired because I assumed that it would take forever. I assumed that would be the case. And guess what? I was proven right.
Yeah, that it certainly lends credence to the argument that these people don't really know what they're doing. I thought the whole point of Carney was that he was this experienced leader, a competence, all that stuff, and they can't put together a budget. They're putting people in places of leadership that really have no idea about their portfolio, and so far I'm not impressed.
And you see, here it is. I stand corrected. It's not even 5 years. It's 10 years. It's fucking 10 years that you need to know those people for that will vouch for you. And
Yep.
on top of that, if you're married, I got my license before I got married, but if you're married, they have to interview your wife to make sure that she's okay with it. So it's, man, if you have a liberal wife and you're trying to get firearms, she could literally fuck you.
Wait a
and say,
minute. They have
"Yeah,
to
no, thank
hold
you."
on. They interview your wife to make sure she's
They need-
okay
no,
with it?
they don't only interview her, she needs to say yes.
Now, I mean, at least it's like if you're a married woman, is it the same in reverse? Does your husband have to say?
I don't
yes?
think that matters, but I'm not a woman, so I
Okay.
cannot preach to. I'm talking to you not from what the law says, from personal
Okay,
experience.
I got you.
I'm telling you from what I've been through and what I know personally from either I've been through or a very close friend of mine went through. But I know as per the law, your wife, if you're married, needs to say yes or nay.
Really? That's
Now, does that
wild.
really happen? Maybe. I don't know. Like, if you're in the middle of a divorce, because I don't know if you know this, but if you're getting divorced, it takes a year for your divorce to be granted, right?
Yeah.
The law,
yeah.
at least I was married in Ontario, and in order for me to get divorced from my first wife, we needed to be separated for a year. So technically, she was still my wife. Imagine that she was vindictive, which she fucking was. Imagine if I applied before getting divorced, then because it takes so much time to get approved, to get somebody on the phone, they talk to her and they're like, "Hey, are you okay with your husband? Because as per the law, I'm still married." Bro, fuck, man, I'm just thinking about it as we go. This is insane, but this is the reality in which we live. And yeah, it is not easy, but all to say that the dude that is responsible for us, for the RCMP, for all the gun laws in Canada, doesn't know anything about firearms. It's brilliant. I
Yeah,
wonder if he even knows how to shoot.
I doubt it. He probably never has shot.
So, here we go. John just joined us. How about we bring him on, because we
John
only have him for
Carpay.
about 45 minutes. So let's bring John on. Hey, John,
Hi.
how you doing?
John, how's
I'm
it
doing
going?
well. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
That's a great microphone you have there.
Yeah, that's really nice.
We have the same mic. That's why I'm saying I'm kind of
Oh, I
praising
see.
myself.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
kind
of
of
course.
praising myself at the same time.
Easy, yeah. Just watch that you don't strain your arm, patting yourself on the back there so hard.
You know, this is a sales trick. I don't know John. We've never met before, and I've only been dealing with his team in the back end. So by me saying something stupid, I gauge the reaction of the guest or my clients. If he laughs, he has a sense. See, ha ha ha! He has a sense of humor.
You
So
got
we
it.
get to just we
Now we
get
can-
to know that
If
he's
he
not
was
serious.
if he was stern faced and remember with when we had Billboard Chris on, great guy.
Yeah.
But like I remember we cracked a joke and it was just like, okay, so we don't go that route. We'll just keep it all serious.
By the way, first and foremost, John, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time, because we don't know each other, so we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
We're just two content creators that are very savvy about what goes on. We read Bill C-2, and we're
read all
troubled.
140 pages.
Unfortunately for
skimmed.
you, most of it, yes. And not only that, but Control F and researching how many times words were mentioned, like warrant or electronic service provider.
Yeah.
So I found it interesting that I found you. Thanks for being here. I know we only have you for about 45 minutes, so I'm not going to waste any time because I know your time is valuable. But just, can you give us like a 2 seconds introduction as to why should we listen to you? Like, are you an expert? Do you know what you're talking about? Or you're just one of the guys like us that just sounds smart?
Yeah. You've
Well,
got more hair than us, though, so.
I was called to the bar in 1999, and my practice in law has been in constitutional law. And I head up a nonprofit group called the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. We have been in the trenches fighting for the freedoms of expression, association, conscience, the right of parents to protect their children from transgender ideology, freedom of movement, freedom of travel. And so I've got a team of 10 lawyers all across Canada taking on dozens of cases. And we were in the trenches. We sued governments all over Canada over their lockdowns and mandatory vaccination policies. And we were the only civil liberties organization in Canada that called for an end to lockdowns. Other civil liberties groups were kind of saying, well, maybe lockdowns aren't great, but they were basically, generally, they were supportive of lockdowns and vaccine passports. We were not. And so, yeah, we're a team of lawyers defending constitutional rights and freedoms in Canada.
Nice.
So you got an idea of what you're talking about. This is pretty much what I'm hearing.
So yeah, you're not.
Although Bill C-2, I don't claim to have read all 140 pages, and it seems like a Pandora's box. There's more and more bad stuff that is emerging in the media reporting as time goes by. I'm happy you say this because I want to make it clear that there's good things in there, but this is not what we want to talk about today. I don't want to address, we're not going to address the immigration. We're not going to address what the bill claims to do, because there's going to be thousands of people creating content and lawyers creating content about how awesome this bill is. We really wanted to speak about the problematics that we've seen in this bill, especially when it comes to 4 different things. And 3 of them you spoke about briefly in a video that you guys released yesterday on X, which are electronic service provider. We want to talk about money over 10K. We want to address the new powers that potentially Canada Post could obtain by opening up our mail. And there's the one that she did not talk about, which I'm going to bring a correlation later on as to why I think it's important to talk about it. But the exportation, portion of the bill, we saw a few things in there where like, okay, hold on here. This is very, very problematic. So even if you haven't read it as in detail as we have, we still want to have just your legal opinion as to, are we on crack here? What door is it open? Because that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of doors that are being opened with this bill that I don't like where this potentially could go. Well, I agree. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, you go ahead, Nico.
I would go with, because I'm a sales engineer by trade. I was in telecommunication field for years, working for Rogers, working for Videotron, selling massive telecommunication services to some of the biggest entities in North America. So the electronic service provider, when I read this week, I'm like, oh, no. I know where they're going with this. So there's a few things, and I know you talked about this, so I'm hoping that you're aware of what I'm referring to. But let me ask you this. Electronic service provider. It sounds like nothing, just for in layman's term, for the average person. They might not understand what this means, but correct me if I'm wrong here, because the term we used to use in my field was internet service provider. So whoever, the Videotron, the Bell, the TELUS of this world, those companies would sometime be contacted by the RCMP, for example, to say, hey, we have a warrant for this specific guy. We see that he's on your network. We believe that he's a pedophile. We believe that he's sharing stuff that should not be shared. Can you please provide me with some information regarding this? But this bill is mentioning electronic service providers, which this is where I want to have your opinion. Because in my world, what this means is that it could encompass internet services, it could encompass social media platform, it could encompass cell phone manufacturers, car manufacturers. It could literally encompass anything that has an electronic device that can be remotely accessed, like your smart TVs, your smart refrigerator, your smart everything, your camera system, your car. So does the word electronic scare you?
Well, everything is electronic. And one of the commentators, I think it could have been Michael Geist at the University of Ottawa, he said that there's a pretty strong, clear Supreme Court of Canada ruling about the right to privacy. And people have a privacy right in terms of which internet companies that they are using. And so, you know, if let's say Netflix or Amazon Prime has a list with, you know, thousands or millions of subscribers, it's confidential when you purchase something, the same way that it's confidential if you donate money to a charity. The only people that should know is the charity receiving the money. And so we have a privacy interest. And what Bill C-2 does is it requires electronic service providers to organize their data in such a way that it can be easily turned over to the government. And the government wants to have access to the names of the subscribers and their IP addresses, which is getting close to where they live, maybe not a specific street address, but you know, where is your IP server located? So even, you know, you referred to how you had previous experiences. The RCMP would contact the company that you worked for, and they said, we've got, you know, one particular individual that we've got some information suggesting he's trafficking child pornography. That is the way law enforcement is supposed to work. It should be possible for the police to contact a company and say, look, we want information about one individual, and they should have to get a search warrant or a court order. What is totally wrong is this whole attitude that the government is entitled to know. A government that knows everything about you is a government that can take everything from you. You know, this is the problem. We don't want to be in a situation where governments have this knowledge of who is subscribing to which companies and which IP addresses are they using. Just because government is a double-edged sword. Government can be a good thing, you know, protect us, fight crime, law enforcement, the police, protect our borders, national defense to protect against foreign enemies. Government can be a force for good, but government can be a force for evil as well. And history teaches us that. So you don't want to give government massive amounts of information about which Canadians are subscribing to which services. So that's the problem, is government acquiring information that it doesn't need.
Yeah, that's well, first, before I ask my question, John, that's actually a good segue into mine as well. I just want to say thank you for being here, for giving me your time.
Just before you go, let me just ask, because one of the comments that I got this week when we spoke about this, and this is exactly where my mind went. Do you see Bill C-2 as almost a Patriot Act that the Americans passed like 20-ish years ago? Because as I was reading it, I was sitting outside with a cigar, and I apologize for your ears, but I swear a lot. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? This sounds like the Patriot Act that Bush passed 20-ish years ago that basically gave birth to the NSA in the US. This is how I saw it. Does that ring true to you, or am I... Because there's a tinfoil hat right behind me for a reason. I'm a conspiracy theorist first and foremost. Do you think I should put my tinfoil hat on, or do you think that it might be very close to the Patriot Act, or the intent is very close?
No, you don't need a tinfoil hat. When you see even the deceptive language, it's supposed to be about border security. There's an awful lot of content here that has nothing to do with the border. I think it should be called, the government calls it the Strong Borders Act. I would say it's the Strong Surveillance Act. You don't need to violate the right of Canadians to use cash. even if you could say, well, it's only a minimal violation because we're only preventing you from using more than $10,000 of cash. But still, you don't need to violate the right to use cash in order to protect people. Government does not need the names and email addresses and IP addresses of millions of people in order to fight crime, because that can already be done. The tools are there. The police can go to court and get a warrant that applies to one individual, and then they can, break into his home without a warrant. They can watch his emails, they can listen to his phone calls, they can do all kinds of things, but it's restricted because they have to go to court to get a warrant. So this is, if this was only about the borders, and if we were talking only about the refugee claimant process, immigration policies, then you could say, well, it's the Strong Borders Act. But going after, violating the privacy rights of Canadians and attacking our right to use cash, and being able to intercept the mail, that has nothing to do with borders at all. So it's very deceptive language. In terms of the Patreon Act, I confess I did not look at that legislation closely 20 years ago, but certainly when you have a crisis, whether it's a real crisis or a manufactured crisis, politicians use that to expand their powers.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like they say, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if you give the government a hammer, they're going to use it. And that's actually a great segue to my next question, which is about cash and that aspect of the bill. Before I do, I just wanted to just quickly point out there's a few people here who have some nice things to say. Leah says the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom rocks. And our other regular here, Wise Guy, says he's a regular contributor twice a year to the Justice Center. So just thought you might like to see that.
He's pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised.
Just for you, Wise Guy. We have John here just for you.
Yes, exactly. So, and actually, if you are curious, you can see the comments from the audience down in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you did see anything there that you did want to address specifically, by all means, feel free to just speak up about that. But as you were talking about cash, so I read a piece you did in the Western Standard the other day, an opinion piece when I was preparing for this, and that's kind of the part that really jumped out at me, and why I want to talk about this specifically. You said the part that I really thought was kind of really jumped out was where you said restricting the use of cash is a dangerous step towards tyranny and totalitarianism. And I thought that, I never really thought about it like that before. I know that when we had done our initial deep dive into the bill there the other day, we had mentioned the cash thing, the $10,000 thing. And, we were kind of like, well, that's kind of been around for a while. I think we thought it was more towards crossing the border with that kind of money. And I think we were like, okay, well, that makes a little bit of sense. You don't maybe need more than 10K in cash across the border. But as I was reading your piece, it seems that this is just a blanket ban on any transactions above 10K. So no, you can't give to charity. You can't buy a car. Or at the very least, if you do, you're going to have to get permission. And of course, it's probably going to put you on a list somewhere, which is very, that in itself is concerning. As I was reading it, it sort of seemed to me that like this bill is almost a double-edged sword here, where on the one hand, they're severely restricting our ability to interact with the real economy by restricting our ability to use cash and forcing us into the digital sphere. And then at the other end, they're dropping the hammer in the digital sphere. It almost seems like a classic pincher movement. So I was wondering if you could just sort of dig into that a little bit and explain how this is different from the existing restrictions on cash, and what are some potential maybe obviously there's some obvious downsides, but how you see it as a civil liberty lawyer, where you see the red flags are really jumping out at you here.
Well, cash protects our privacy and our autonomy. So I live in Calgary. Mm-hmm. If I'm using cash, I can go to a gas station and spend $50 cash to fill up my car with gas. I can drive to Edmonton, 3 hours to the north, and I can have lunch in Edmonton and spend a few hours there, or spend 2 or 3 days there, use cash, come back to Calgary again. If I'm using cash, nobody knows that I filled up my car with gas in Calgary on a Tuesday morning. There's no records of that. If I use cash to pay for, meals in Edmonton at restaurants, nobody knows that I went to Edmonton, which restaurants I went to, at what time. There's just no records. And so it gives us confidentiality and anonymity. Now, good freedom-loving politicians are fine with that. It's like, well, I don't want to know where people are going, where they went, when they went there, what they bought, when they bought it, where they bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom-loving politicians who actually respect our charter rights are fine with this anonymity. And their attitude is the only time that the government has a right to know is if you are, trafficking child pornography or you're engaging in criminal activity. Well, then you kind of give up your privacy rights and you could be put under surveillance on a case-by-case basis individually. So, the police have to go to court and get a warrant for surveillance if they want to do surveillance on an individual or on a group. Now, this is the first time in history that using cash can be a criminal offense if it's an amount larger than 10,000 and if it's given to a charity or a professional or a business. So this is a milestone. If this bill passes and it's in the criminal code, that it's a criminal code offense to buy something for more than 10,000, and that applies also if it's broken down into multiple donations.
That's a great
so
point.
If somebody wanted to donate $1,000 cash to the Justice Center once a month, by November, they would be breaking the law because they would have exceeded 10,000. Now, we're not getting $10,000 donations by cash, but that's not really the point. I mean, the point is good citizens who are not committing crimes, if they want to use cash, they should be able to use cash. And the other thing is, once this is in the criminal code, if it gets there, the government can then very easily say, well, now the limit's, it's not 10,000, it's 5,000. And then the limit's 1,000. And next thing you know, cash purchases of more than $100 are illegal. So you can still go, maybe a farmer's market or a garage sale, you can still use cash. But if you're going to spend more than $100, it's got to be on a credit card where there's a record. And so cash is freedom from government surveillance, freedom from bank surveillance, freedom from credit card surveillance.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great point, that the sort of the slippery slope argument, because as you say, most of us don't deal with $10,000 in cash, but many of us do in 1,000 or 500, and even if maybe in this exact moment it's hard to imagine, or it's not even that hard, a government who might be just purely tyrannical, it's a life and death issue to keep that kind of information secret from them. We all know that throughout history, governments change, and there might come a day when we really regret putting that kind of a law in place. I just have one quick follow-up question regarding your article, because you had mentioned specifically that this bill is quite similar to one in Quebec that passed in March 2024. I believe it's called Bill 54, that allows the police to assume any person carrying $2,000 or more in cash is connected to illegal activity. Assume that. That is insane to me. I was just wondering if I mean, this is the first I've heard of it. Have there been any abuses of civil rights or charter rights that has happened because of that law yet? Or is that something that you're following up on? And is that something that you can see being, becoming the law of the land at some point? Is that the direction you think this is going?
Well, thus far, nobody has approached the Justice Center from Quebec in a situation where their $2,000 were confiscated from police. However, just because nobody's approached us to ask for legal help, I mean, a lot of people don't even know that we exist. So I'm not aware of cases where it's been abused. However, my lack of awareness doesn't mean that it's not being abused. It could have been dozens of times or hundreds of times that police have seized money. And then you have a reverse onus. As a citizen, you have to go to court. You probably have to hire a lawyer. You have to spend hundreds of dollars, and you have to prove that the $2,000 was because you had maybe been, going door to door fundraising for a charity. $2,000 is not much. It's not a huge amount, right? So, I mean, so the reverse onus is bad. I mean, the onus should be on the government to have to prove that the $2,000 was from criminal activity. That's been our tradition for centuries to protect citizens. The government has to prove that you're guilty. A citizen should never have to go to court to prove his innocence.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more.
Because as per the criminal law, I am supposed to be considered non-guilty. I'm supposed to be considered innocent, and it is the job of the criminal court to prove without reasonable doubt that I did what they accuse me of doing. So they stop the laws. And I live in Montreal. Like, I spent half my time in Canada, half my time in the US, but I didn't even know this existed. This is mind-blowing to me. I was looking at it as we're talking, but it's absolutely right. There's no case. I couldn't find a case of this happening, but the fact that it's possible, and God knows that the police officers in Quebec are some of the worst police officers. Like, those guys are terrible. And I'm talking to you as a Frenchie. So I know. And there's a couple of comments I wanted to address. Hopefully you can give your opinion on them. But Detective Gaines said that your phone knows where you're traveling. You know what, Detective Gaines? Yes, but during COVID, because I don't have the whoop whoop, I was supposed to stay home. But I lived in the woods. So you know what I did? I take that phone, I left it at home, and I bought a flip phone, an old school flip phone, just in case I needed to call somebody that you could not track. And guess what? I was using money. So they couldn't.
That's crazy that you
I had an older phone that is not GPS tracked. I had an old school phone that you couldn't track, and I was using cash. This is my right. This is my right as a citizen to not be tracked. Because, it always comes down to this. And John, I think you probably hear that all the time, but what do you have to worry about if you're not breaking the law? You shouldn't worry about the government looking at everything you do.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
that's the classic.
Well, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there are very few people who, whether they're an elected politician or whether they're unelected, bureaucrat, civil servant, or appointed to some position of authority, there are very few people who are able to resist that temptation to use that power. There's a friend of mine, Theo Fleury, a hockey player you're probably familiar with, played with the Flames for a long time. And he's spoken very publicly about his addictions with alcohol and drugs. He claims that the most addictive substance is power. And I think we saw it during lockdowns. I think that, you're go to a news conference and declare the law for the whole province as to the extent to which people are going to be locked up. And then 2 weeks later, you say, well, you have a little bit more freedom now. Now you can meet with, 3 friends instead of 1. Now you can have 2 people over to your house.
How
instead
generous.
Of 1. It's a big power trip. And we have to learn from history. When you see people, the extreme examples, Pol Pot, genocide of 30%, 40% of the population of Cambodia under the communists. We see tens of millions killed in Mao's communist China. We see tens of millions killed in the Soviet Union under Stalin and other leaders. During World War II, you've got the Germany under Hitler, and the National Socialists have occupied most of Europe. Millions, genocide. Its power. And even if there had never been any genocide, you look at the behavior of, the military junta in Argentina with something like 30,000 people, or maybe it was 3,000, bad enough, disappearing, people being tortured and murdered. And so this is why we need restraints on government. Government can do good things for us. Absolutely. I'm not an anarchist. I think it's fine to have a government. But government's like fire or like electricity. You want to have it under control. You want it to be your servant, not your master. This is why it's dangerous to lose the right to use cash or to have governments gaining information about millions of people and which electronic service providers that they're using.
There's a great question I wanted to bring up from Sasquatch. He's asking, John, do you think the government will use this bill to squash the separation movement in Alberta? I assume they could spy on anyone and punish them financially. Just so you know, John, we have some of the smartest commenters and listeners on the planet. Some of the guys that we have are guys and women, because our women are smart too. But do you think that's a possibility that you think they could do that? Because technically they could, but what do you think about it?
Maybe that's why they're doing this.
You know, it wouldn't surprise. Sometimes people abuse their power. You know, the example we saw was in the October crisis in Quebec in 1970, where Pierre Elliott Trudeau used the War Measures Act. It was basically a crackdown on the Quebec separatist movement, and they arrested hundreds of people who had no connection to terrorist activities, but they were peacefully active in Quebec separatism, and they were arrested and locked up in jail. And that, you know, he didn't need to use the War Measures Act. He could have sent soldiers into the streets of Montreal without using the War Measures Act, but it was a power play because he hated the Pierre Elliott Trudeau hated the Quebec separatist movement so much that he would abuse the state power. He took advantage of the crisis. There was a crisis. Pierre Laporte had been a cabinet minister, had been kidnapped and was later murdered. And then there was James Cross, a British official, was kidnapped. So there was a crisis, and he used the crisis to use state power to really, for political purposes, to crack down on
legitimate political activity.
His political opponents. And so, you know, I don't want to speculate about what might happen, but I would certainly say that it's within the realm of the possible that people would abuse their authority to, you know, take illegal actions against Alberta separatists or any other political opponents.
Yeah, that's
you know, it opens the door, right? This is all I'm hearing, is that it gives them the power to do it. We're not, you can't assume automatically that they would, but they definitely would have the power to do it if they chose to.
Well, and this is the naivete that I find frustrating, is that there are some people who would say, well, look, if the government wants to put a camera in my living room just to make sure I'm not doing anything bad, I don't have anything to worry about because I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not beating my wife. I'm not, I'm not running a prostitution ring. I'm not manufacturing fentanyl. So it's okay for the government to have a camera in my living room because I'm not doing anything wrong. I have nothing to fear. That is an extreme naivete vis-a-vis government. What do you think government does when it has all of that information? You know, they're gonna use it, right? And again, the government doesn't need that for good law enforcement. We've had in Canada for 157 years, we've had, compared to other countries, we've had peace, prosperity, low crime, political stability. The government doesn't need to intercept our mail in order to keep us safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You know, those people, I think, who say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not manufacturing fentanyl. Well, yeah, that's fine. But what about when the government decides that your political opinions are what's wrong, or they're going to crack down on hate speech, and they determine hate speech is if you don't believe that men can give birth, or you think that women can't have a penis, you know? So it's a very slippery slope when we get down here. And I think your analogy with the FLQ crisis was great because, you know, of course, the kidnapping of the cabinet minister there is a criminal act. And it was committed by people who were associated with a political movement. But that does not mean the political movement itself was fundamentally illegitimate. And that is absolutely the way that they cracked down on it. So I think we do need to be aware of history here. I wanted to talk a little bit about... You don't
need to look that far, Freedom Truckers. Not that I don't want to open that can of worm, but we're talking 2 years ago. So we don't have to look back that far to see
the government cracking down.
They will take advantage of it.
It was like a third world regime. The government used violence. You had the police with batons coming out there. You know, a lady trampled and injured with a horse walking over her. Violence used against people who had been peaceful. I mean, there can be a time and a place where it might be necessary for the police to use violence. I'm not saying they can never do that, but this was a crackdown on a protest and a failure to use existing law enforcement, like placing tickets on on the trucks that were illegally parked, although they have been directed to park there by police. But put tickets on trucks and cars that are illegally parked. If they don't move, you tow them away.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of legal, ordinary law enforcement that could have been used to make that protest more manageable. I understand it caused inconvenience to people who lived in Ottawa. They didn't use the ordinary law enforcement at all, and instead they declared an Emergencies Act. The Justice Centre was involved in that court case where the judge ruled that the federal government acted illegally when using the Emergencies Act. So it was good. We got a court ruling that gave the federal government a slap in the face.
Yeah, that's so. In other words, the government used a sledgehammer when they could have used a scalpel, which is essentially probably one of the bigger fears of people who are involved in civil rights battles. I did want to shift a little bit to the mail aspect of this bill. So because we did do a deep dive, but as you know, it's heavily written in legalese and it's probably intentionally difficult to read for laymen. So we're trying to sort of read the tea leaves and pick and choose, but it appears to us as we were reading it that the government has essentially carte blanche powers to open your mail based on the bill is littered with words like good faith, which is obviously extremely ambiguous, and how can you disprove it, right? You can't disprove someone good faith. Any officer can say, hey, it's in my good faith that I believe there's something illegal about this package, and even if there's not, he can say, I don't know what to tell you. I was in good faith. So I just want to know, like, specifically, what does this do, or what powers does this give law enforcement to open our mail without even informing us, without a warrant? And how is it different from the existing requirements that they would have to do to access this kind of material?
Well, starting point is the current powers that they have. And governments sometimes they ask for more power when they already have the powers in place. According to Blacklock's reporter, what police have already been doing for years is if they suspect, because they got tipped off, they got a tip from somebody, however they got their information. If police suspect that somebody is getting shipments of child pornography or fentanyl or explosives or bombs or whatever, police have been known to pose as couriers or to post as mailmen, and then they take the package and knock on the door. And the law enforcement is good if it's targeted at individuals where there's a suspicion, on reasonable grounds that they're involved in criminal activity. If it's narrowly targeted that way, the police already have the power to be involved with Canada Post and maybe get information about, one individual living at one address. And so police already have that power. They don't have a broad power to intercept mail. Canada Post does not have the power to open mail. So this is something people understood 157 years ago when Canada was founded, and even prior. If I write a letter to Nico in Montreal, it's nobody else's business what's in there. It's private. It's a message from me to him. Nobody should have the right to open that unless they have reasonable grounds for suspecting that I'm writing down the secret code to unleashing a bomb or whatever, something criminal.
It's so I also noticed in that bill there was something about immunity for these either Canada Post or just companies for giving your information, so that otherwise it can't later on be accused of violating your civil rights. Is that new, or is that something that's typically, is that just something that's done in these sorts of bills?
I regret I can't answer that. I haven't looked at that provision.
Maybe I can put a bit of specificity to this. They're allowing public servant to look at the mail, for example, to go, they're changing the definition of warrant and who can have it from police officer to public servant. So basically somebody that works for the government that is not a police officer. But what he's referring to is in good faith. They're basically, they've put in good faith a few times within the bill itself, as in, you know, we're doing this in the preliminary steps of an investigation in good faith. Like we're doing it just like the Emergency Act in Quebec has, that you cannot, that a government that enforces an emergency act cannot be held, like has immunity against whatever the consequences are their actions because they did it in good faith. I believe that that's what you're referring to, the good faith part. Is that something that is normally in law? Because I can't say that I've ever seen that before in a bill where, you know what, to me, it translates to trust me, bro.
Yeah.
That's what the translation of in good faith sounds to me.
Most people, good faith is sincerity. It's acting with good intentions. Most people act in good faith most of the time. It's a very low standard. I mean, it's better than acting in bad faith, right? So malicious, for example, you know, if you're acting in good faith, you're not malicious, you have the best of intentions, you're not seeking to inflict harm, but it's a very low standard. The standard of doing things based on reasonable and probable grounds, especially if it's reasonable and probable, that means that, you know, police can only go to court and apply for a search warrant, not just if in good faith they believe that you've got child pornography at your home, but it has to be reasonable and probable grounds that you have child pornography at your home. So the standard that way is that the police would need to have reports from people that suggest that, you know, Mark Smith living at 1234 Main Street has child pornography on his computer in his house. They actually have some evidence, and then they can go to court and they can say we have reasonable and probable grounds, and so we want a search warrant, and they can get the search warrant and they can bust into the guy's home without a warrant when he's least expecting it, and, you know, grab his computer before he can delete his files, etc. So that's a high standard, reasonable and probable grounds. Acting in good faith is, again, it's better than malicious, you know, but it's a very low standard, authorizes anybody to do anything almost.
Right?
You couldn't disprove that someone was not acting in good faith. All they have to do is say I was, and you just have to take their word for it.
It's a low standard. It's a low standard. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, I was doing the best I could under the circumstances. I was trying to do my best.
Sure.
I was trying to do what was right. So again, it's a good thing, right? We want everybody to act in good faith. It's not a bad thing, but in terms of a legal standard for authorizing the violation of privacy, that's way too low of a legal standard.
Yes.
I know that I was told that you need to leave in 2 minutes. I wish I will take every single minute. If you want to stay longer and cancel everything else, we have plenty of questions for you. But I'm going to try to finish with an easy one. And this came up to me this morning when I'm a firearms owner, just so you know. So I know the legal system in Canada. But I was reading this morning, as per the Toronto police, 88% of the firearms they seized that were used in crimes came from the US. In this bill about securing our border, firearms is not mentioned once. Do you think that makes sense?
I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the firearms regulations, although I disagree with the whole attitude of government seems to be that we can somehow reduce crime by imposing more and more rules and regulations on law-abiding citizens who own firearms. It's just stupid. You don't crack down on crime by putting more bureaucracy, more rules, more regulations on law-abiding people. Maybe they're saving the firearms stuff for another day. Hopefully not. I think it's so misguided to devote all these resources to placing more burdens on 6 million or whatever number millions of Canadian firearms owners.
What I meant to say, maybe my question wasn't clear, is if the Toronto Police, arguably the biggest police service in Canada outside of the RCMP, is saying that 88% of firearms are coming from the US, like illegal firearms are coming from the US. Shouldn't firearm be a priority to be blocked by at our borders? Shouldn't this be part of the bill, as in we are trying to go after this? Because they named fentanyl, but they don't talk about firearms yet.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you
Does that
make
make more sense?
You make a valid point. I couldn't tell you. I can't read into these people's minds, but yeah, it does. It's interesting, as you mentioned, that they're not referencing firearms, only fentanyl. Perhaps they feel that they don't need changes to current laws to catch more of these guns coming into Canada from the US.
How much more time do we have you on? Because I'm trying to be cognizant of your time. I know that you're supposed to be done at literally a minute ago, but there is one topic I wanted to address. If you have the time, I would love to bring it.
Well, let's go for 4 more minutes. And I neglected to take my power cord, so my battery is slowly dying as well. But let's go another 4 minutes.
If you've got one, Nico, you asked yours if I have time. I've got a quick one after that I'll ask, but you go ahead first.
One of the things that we noticed when we were going through this bill is that they mention exportation, but within that article of exportation, they start talking about every person who transports or causes to be transported within Canada goods destined for export must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to any premise or place under the person's control that is attached or formed part at any places where that good was destined to be exported, loaded, unloaded, or stored. So, and right after that, they start talking about warehouses. So the question that I have for you is twofold. First, what's a warehouse? Because I Googled it, and my first thought of this is, okay, hold on. Any good that is meant for the US or that's transported within Canada, now at an officer's request, not under warrant, at an officer's request, must be given free rein to examine where that good was or anything that was under my control, for example. But what I thought about this, I'm like, I was part of the trucker convoy, right? So I'm like, okay, hold on. Are you going after truckers? Because this is what it sounds to me. Because if I'm who transports good? Truckers. Where are their trucks normally stored at night? At their home. Does that mean that because my truck who transported goods that was parked at my house, does that give you access to my house?
Is that a warehouse and officially, legally?
If I'm like, those are my gear, right? Those are my t-shirts. So does that mean that if I have my residential garage where I store my t-shirts, my hoodies, that I have people in the US that I will ship to, does that mean that my garage, that is also a warehouse for my small business, does that mean that they have access to my garage? Like, do you see the door that it's happening, that it's opening? Because all I can see with the $10,000 donation limit that could be trickled down to 1,000, for example, transportation, whatever is under that's transported, they get access to without a warrant. My garage as a small business owner, doesn't it feel, is it possible that they're trying to squash a freedom trucker convoy, a second one, or just like it was mentioned earlier by the Alberta movement? Doesn't it open the door for them to be able to make it so difficult for people who are protesting them that they will just shut down any speech that is against them just because people don't want to deal with it? Just like what's happening in the UK with Twitter posts online where police is showing up to your house. Because that's what it sounds to me.
Power can be abused in so many different ways. If this sounds like, and did you get a chance to see the definition? Was there something in the definitions section that defined warehouse?
Warehouse? I don't believe there was, because we searched for it.
I did not see it. You can give me your opinion, and I have the PDF right next to me, and I'll look at it right now.
Look, the problem again is that police should not have the right to inspect warehouses and to request information. It has to be the way it should be, the way it is now. You know, police can make requests. There's some exceptions. For example, if you're caught speeding or the policeman thinks you're speeding, there's a law that says you must show your driver's license to the police officer, right? Obviously, the police officer is not going to have to go to court to get a warrant, to get a court order, to compel you to show him your driver's license. So we have some modest exceptions for practical reasons, right? So if you're driving a car and the provincial law is you must show your registration, driver's license, and insurance to the police officer. If you refuse to do so, it's an offense, etc. So we've got some very practical carve-outs. But if it's anything else, like what you have in your warehouse, that the police shouldn't be able to, request, hey, I want to know, I want to know what's in your warehouse. I want information about this. No.
It just says at officer's request, give officer free access.
Give officer free access.
So this is the bill.
This shouldn't, unless it's the actual commission of a crime. That's the other example. You need a search warrant, or you need a report. Some woman is getting raped in the warehouse right now.
Sure, of course.
Then you can bust in the door, and you don't need a search warrant. Those are the only two exceptions. Police should not be able to just go where they want and get whatever information they want. That's frightening.
There's no talk of warrants.
So warehouse is mentioned 5 times within the 140 pages bill, and it's right here. It's all under the same article. Officer access to good warehouse. The operator or sufferance warehouse or abundant warehouse must, at an officer's request, give the officer free access to the warehouse or the premise under the operator's control that is attached or form part of the warehouse, and open any package containing of goods destined for export,
if your garage
or
is
remove
the warehouse,
any package.
That means your house. If your house is attached to the garage and your garage is the warehouse, they can access your house too. That seems
goods destined for export. I mean, that could be anything.
Anything.
I've got a book that I wrote, and if I wanted to mail this to somebody in the United States, I suppose it's destined for export. No, we have to really fight tooth and nail to keep the warrant system in place. We want law enforcement to be able to fight crime, but there have to be restrictions there. If not, we're in deep trouble. If you want to continue the conversation another time, I'd love to come back and chat some more.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you, and if you want, because I have some very precise questions when it comes to the wording used in the bill. So if you want, I'll happily reach out. I have your information either way. I'll reach out to you. We'll book up another time. And if you want, I will give you all the articles that Rob and I want to talk about so that you're prepared. We're not just throwing bombs at you and you're just like, what the fuck? I don't know. So if you open the door for coming back, we'd like to book you. I'd book you for 3 hours, do a deep dive and run it all. Because it's scary. That bill scares the shit.
And also, other bills are going to come down, and we're definitely going to want to talk about that too. If that's something you'd be interested in, John, we really appreciate you taking your time.
Let's do a 3-hour deep dive and go through the 140 pages. Let's do it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hopefully, you're ready to lose the little bit of hair you have.
Yeah. We had a full head of hair when we started the show a couple months ago, and look at us now.
But thanks a lot for your time, John. We really appreciate it. It was great having you on, and we can't wait. I'll reach out to your guys right now for us to book another show.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, John. We appreciate it.
Have a great rest of the day. À la prochaine.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Merci, monsieur. Bonne journée.
Oh, that Sasquatch, that's a good question there. Yeah, lots of great questions from the audience. What do you guys think about that?
We'll take what I suggest that we do, you and I don't know if there's a way for me to download the questions. I don't think I do, but I could, because they was great, but we only had him for 45 minutes. And
he seemed eager to come back for a deep dive.
Yeah, I just don't think he was. I should have been. This is my fault. I should have been.
We were more, we were too prepared.
Well,
he was shocked. He was shocked. You can tell he was like, "What the fuck?"
That's me though. But that's me. I'm always like that too. Like I like to ask real questions that are not just out of my ass. I actually read the fucking bill, so I'll make sure to reach out to them as soon as we're done here to have him back on. But guys, in the comments, if you want us to ask questions prior, join the Discord server. That was my idea behind the Discord server, so that I can actually have people participate in this show. Because it's hard for us, because I didn't even get to ask him half of the stuff I wanted to ask, and I was conscious that I didn't have a lot of time with him. So there's a lot more questions that I have for him. And if you guys like this type of setup, what we just did with John, where we're actually asking him real questions, because nobody else is doing that right now. It doesn't seem like nobody has the balls to actually address these problems, especially from a loss perspective. It's one thing for Rob and I to be complaining about this and maybe talking out of our asses, but as you saw today, John is like, what the fuck is going on here? So that scares me even more. His reaction scares me even more. So if you guys see value in this, make sure to support us. We have a membership program on YouTube, $2.99 a month. It will give you access to the members only Discord, where you can start shaping the show. Because again, I said it before the show, but the only reason John was here is because Cheryl, when I asked for a freedom, somebody that would specialize in constitutional law in Canada, Cheryl mentioned him. I reached out to him. I had no idea who John was 3 days ago, and here he is. He's just spent 45 minutes with us, and he just agreed to do another 3 hours. So this is what the $2.99 a month will give you. Plus, if you want to avoid getting divorced, your wife, your husband's tired of hearing you speak about politics, we're here for you. So you're welcome. We will be your political psychologist. Oh, shit, that's a great term. We will be your political psychologist. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think. In the comments on YouTube, make sure to like, make sure to let us know if you like this. And yeah, this is the one thing I respect from people, because I've been in that world for so long. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, but I will take notes and I will research it afterwards. And you're absolutely right. The fact that he was writing it down when he did not know or have the knowledge, he would say, not only that, but he would say so. He's like, I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing. So
yeah, I mean, he's obviously a busy man. He's got a lot this isn't the only thing on his radar. There's all kinds of shit. So this is what we do. So we had the time to really do that deep dive. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought he answered everything he could excellently, and the things he couldn't, he said he wasn't quite sure, and it's all you can do.
And that's what I meant, wise guy. That's exactly why I told him that if he wants to come, he offered it before I even had the chance to ask. But the fact that he said he's going to come back, he agreed to 3 hours. We'll take the time this time to literally write down all the questions, because I have all the sections that I wanted to read out to talk about points exactly. So we'll send it to him prior so that he has the time to be prepared, and he'll show up here ready to scare the shit out of us.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree, wise guy.
There was so Nick said this, and I was just regarding what we were talking about, like, could this be used as a way to crack down?
Think about that.
Where she said some small businesses have stock in the basement of their homes, and I was like, you know what? I bet you most, like, the leaders of political movements, they probably have some sort of like stock in their basement, some shirts or t-shirts. Like, I bet you the trucker convoy people probably had shirts or t-shirts. So that's probably a pretty good way to go after that through the back door. Like we do. We've got.
But I literally have. I just ordered some stock.
And all I got to do is order something from the U.S., get it shipped to the U.S., and then boom, you fall under this legislation. So there's
I have a bunch of stickers that I wanted to give people. I ordered a bunch of stickers to just say, see, it's a new sticker on my microphone. But I ordered a bunch that I was going to ship out to people if they wanted them. So right then and there, that means there you go.
You'll fall under this legislation now, right? Now that's all. Now they have the proof to come and check your warehouse, which is your garage, and any premises attached to your warehouse. Your house. Now they're in there ransacking your house, and sorry, we didn't find anything, and they leave you there at 3 a.m. with your kid crying and your fucking house ransacked, and the punishment is the process, right? That's how they do it.
Cheryl, you're absolutely right. I use what you call print on demand, but at the end of the day, print on demand is great to ship stuff where you don't have to worry about it. It will print closer to where the client is. It will take care of everything, but the quality is never as good as, you know, if you buy so this hat is a $30-ish hat. I have a $60 hat that I bought, and there's a difference. There's a step up between the two. Even if the hat is the exact same, the embroidery is not as good. So yes, I agree with you, but if you're looking at premium stuff, and for 90% of people, print on demand is perfect. But if you're looking for a higher quality, for some people that are ready to spend more, like I am, I will spend more on clothes because I will wear it forever. This you can't have from print on demand. You need to do it yourself and have stock. And we don't even know what the stock is. Like, the warehouse definition is not even fucking part of the bill. So they don't even define if it's a basement. You know that it is. It's fucking flat bullshit.
But
If
honestly,
the fact that they didn't define it.
Even if you were doing third party, they'll probably still boot your door down and be like, "Oh, well, we just assumed it was here," after they've destroyed your place. Sorry, LOL. Haha. Like, the whole point is they're not actually going to charge you with anything. They're just going to leave you there in a mess, with your house a mess, with the threat that they can do this to you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Before you take this, your example of the UK 2-3 days ago, you were bang on. Just the fact that I'm not worried. They can knock on my door. I will laugh at you and live stream the whole shit. So I guarantee you. Thank you. You're gonna give me content.
You give us content. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. And one of the beautiful thing, and this is what I'm going to talk to John after, is the type of content that Rob and I are creating. We might need a guy like John eventually. So I'm happy that we kind of met a guy, because I know if I'm getting trouble from the government, my first call's to his firm.
Yeah,
I'm fucking calling that organization to say, "Hey, bro, I'm in shit. I need you."
And me and you, and obviously no one wants to have their house ransacked.
Sorry, you and I.
Thank you, grammar teacher. Obviously, no one wants to have their house ransacked, but we could that could be a silver lining for you and I, because we've got a show, we've got a platform. Not everyone has a show, not everyone has a platform. For them, it's just the punishment is the process. And of course, people say, "Oh, well, you weren't charged with anything." Well, yeah, but you fucking booted the door down at 3 a.m., scared the shit out of my kids, embarrassed and humiliated me in front of my neighbors. And that's what the punishment is. And that's what all this stuff is for.
The advantage of being an asshole like me, there's nothing they can do to me to make me look worse than I do myself. My wife can attest to this. I don't need fucking help for that. Done.
Yeah.
Done and done. Welcome to try, but I've done worse. I guarantee you that. I've done worse.
Exactly. I'll just take this one. Cindy, because it's a new commenter. She says, "Great job, guys. New to the channel. Love John and how well you cover these issues." Well, we appreciate that, Cindy. Hopefully you stick around. And that actually is a good segue into, guys, if you are listening to the show for the first time, and you think there's a need for a show like this, you think that what we're doing is valuable and you want to support us, please remember to like and subscribe on the channel. And if you really want to support us, the best way to do that is by becoming a member. It starts at $2.99 a month. You can do that through YouTube, and that will give you access to the Discord server where you can suggest content. And we do this came specifically from one of our members, this whole John as a guest. So you definitely can influence the show, and you will be supporting us, and you'll be part of the community here. So that's our little speech. But Cindy, we appreciate the comment, and hopefully you stick around. Dave B,
you want to take some of? Oh no, I was just going to say I did not do I did not plan a lot of other things for the show, but I think we can interact with the comments if you want. Start from the top and just take some. It's not gay if it's just the tip. Yeah, I agree.
That's what Misfits says.
Actually, I would go even further than that. It's not gay if it's just the tip and you're not making eye contact. It's the eye contact part that's weird.
That's the part that makes it. Yeah, exactly. Nick says, we just bought a new car with cash, got a cashier's check. Would we have been forced purchase on payments? That's another thing too. Like, are we now forced to purchase on payments when we could have paid for cash? And now because it's on payments, there's an interest rate, and now we're paying more for the car that we bought for $20,000 because
not everybody has a $10,000 credit card either.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's a way that you can do it. They can't make it flat out legal, but you'll need permission to do it, or you'll be put on a list somewhere for completely legal, legitimate purchase, and that's just, as John said, it's a slippery slope, right? Right now it's $10,000, and it's okay. A lot of people say, well, I never interact more than $10,000, especially in cash. Okay, sure. But what if they make it 5,000? What if they make it 1,000? What if they make it 500? It doesn't, you don't need that much imagination to start to see how this could go bad. And so the only thing to do is to nip it in the bud, say no now when it isn't that bad.
I wonder, because I use apps like, in the US, they don't have interact transfer. That
Yep.
does not exist in the US. So you need
They don't have
like,
a similar system or anything? Oh, wow.
not provided by the banks. You need to use like Cash App,
Cash App.
Wise, and,
Yes, I gotcha.
An app like Wise is actually has better transfer rates, has better Canadian to US or US Canadian transfer rates than the banks does. So often, let's say I would have somebody paying me in US dollars, or I'm in the US and I need to transfer money from my Canadian account to my US account because I want to go pay for something with an Interact. I will use Wise, like you can use Wise to transfer one to the other. So what I'm curious, and again, that should be a question. I didn't think about the question until now, but where does this bill end? Do they have international banking rights? Like Wise is an international company. It's not a Canadian company. And most people in Canada have no fucking clue. If I had employees that were overseas, so I had to pay them, I would use Wise because the transfer of money was so fucking simple from one type of money to another, right? So does that mean those are also getting tracked? Like how does it work? Because we were talking cash, but technically I'm not paying cash, but it would be a cash transfer because I had the money. It was not paid by a credit card. It was money that technically I could have taken out. So does that fall into this too? Like, where the fuck does it end? This is the part that is so ambiguous.
Yeah, and that's, we're all just kind of grasping around in the dark trying to get it, but at least we're asking the questions. I don't really hear too many people really asking these.
And we have somebody to answer them.
Yeah. And even he's like, yeah, I don't know. This sounds terrible. Bumpy says, well, I guess it's a little too late to ask John, but he says, Mr. Carpay, see politicians being held civilly responsible in the oversteps of the Emergency Act invocation. I think of Duplessis winning against Ron Corelli after a 13-year legal battle. And yeah, obviously it's a little too late for John to answer that. But just to go back to what we were talking about, to asking him, this is that part of the bill where it says immunity. No criminal or civil proceedings lie against a person or an entity that, in good faith, collects or uses personal information under this part. And what they're talking about is the collection and use of personal information part. So this is what the police can go to any internet service provider, any place that has your data. Say it's my good faith that they're involved in the crime, get your data, and neither the politician who made the law, the officer who did it, or the company who gave that information over can be granted or can be taken to court civilly or criminally. Anytime you see someone being granted immunity for something, it's a little dicey. Like they granted the pharmaceutical companies immunity for any vaccine injuries. So, whenever you see something like that, it should at least raise some eyebrows. Why does anyone need immunity? It suggests that you can already foresee that damages and problems are going to occur. And that's why we have a court system. If someone's going to bring a frivolous complaint, the judges will throw it out. But to say that they're not allowed to bring a complaint, that's a whole different ball of wax. That's when you're starting to say, okay, there's something going on here.
Agreed, man. It's like that always reminds me of the King Daddy of the whoop whoop, Mr. Dr. Fauci.
Well,
saying,
he's got that pardon.
Saying, I don't need a pardon, but thank you for the pardon.
Yeah. That goes back, 10 years or something? Like, why do you need this pardon? Everything, not even just related to specific things. Everything.
Nothing.
He could have killed someone.
He
could have killed someone in 2016, and he would have immunity from it. Like, there's something going on. Yeah, pardoned. Yeah, I don't want the pardon. And then he fucking grabs onto it like a drowning man given a life
First thing he
preserver.
did, you know, he took a picture, he framed it somewhere.
Yeah.
Like for sure, he has many copies of it
Of that pardon.
everywhere.
Yeah, he carries it with him at all times, just in case.
In his passport when he
Yeah.
goes to different places. I was part
Here's
of
my passport, and here's my pardon. Cyril Arnold in South Africa during the apartheid years. My parents had a neighbor under house arrest for 5 years for speaking against the government. Had police posted outside the house the whole time. Yeah, and so that I remember when that comment came up, and it was when we were talking about could government use this to crack down on the Alberta sovereignty movement, or any political
That
speech
was
they
a
don't
great
like.
question, Sasquatch.
Yeah,
by the way. Great
Sasquatch.
question.
That was
I
a
didn't
great
even think
question.
about that.
No, and then it makes you wonder. Perhaps that's even the point of it. You know, that maybe that's why they're doing this. Because if it was really a border bill, as he said, there's not a lot of border stuff there, right? There's some stuff, but you'd think you would address. You know, there's some fentanyl stuff, sure, but that's the extent of the border stuff. The rest of it is surveillance.
The
that's not
big
really
problem with that is they open the door. They are trying to gain power over seems like every portion of our lives. Because guys, you need to understand, I wasn't kidding when I said electronic. Like instead of having internet service provider, and again, remember, I'm from that world. I grew up, my biological dad's an engineer that was in that world. I was a sales engineer in that world. I used to configure that equipment. I used to install it. I used to support it, and then I sold it. So this is what I did for 20 years. And as soon as I saw electronic service provider, I'm like, sons of bitches, they just changed the definition, because it was always internet service provider. Now they're talking about electronic, which is in everything. Look around you right now. You have your cell phone, you have your smart TV, you have your camera system. Yeah, some people have refrigerators that they can access remotely. You know, call me a conspiracy theorist, but the reason I'll never have an electric car is that it can be shut down remotely.
Mhm.
So you're basically telling by saying electronic, that means that anything you possess today has something electronic in it. Your car, your phone, your refrigerator, your alarm system, your camera, your TV. That means that you're giving a civil servant, because that is one thing we didn't have the time to approach it in detail. But one of the problems that I saw in this bill is that they are trying to change. So in the bill itself, warrant is mentioned 91 times. And the reason that I talk about it is that they are modifying the criminal code to change the definition of warrant, especially how it can be obtained. So in page 80, section 487 of the bill, there is a stipulation that changes the definition of warrant, as in who is capable of obtaining it. Normally, it would say that the act is amended by replacing by changing to a public officer. What the fuck is a public officer? So it's not just police or law enforcement that can obtain a warrant, but they're asking, because before it used to be a peace officer that could obtain a warrant. They had to go to a judge, and the judge would assign that warrant. It needed to be police. Now they're trying to change the definition to a peace officer or public officer. You're telling me that a public servant, like a government worker with their pink hair that doesn't like what I talk about online, can somehow ask a judge to get a warrant? Like, it's not even the police anymore. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, why the fuck would they have to have that right? Why would they have to have that power? It makes no sense to me that.
Well, is it sure that that's what it is? I thought it was like had to be, because it says here a person or entity may collect an individual's personal information without the individual's knowledge or consent if the personal information is disclosed to the person by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So yeah, the RCMP does have to,
That's
so,
fine.
or by a prescribed government department, institution, or agency. Okay, so I guess we need to know what they mean by prescribed government department. Is it any government agency? Can someone from the CRA, go through my mail? Can someone from child services go through my mail? There's some ambiguity here that needs to be cleared up, and hopefully,
And in legal terms, you do not want any type of gray area, because those are where loopholes are
yes,
created.
exactly.
And what's the first thing that John said when I asked him about warehouses? He's like, what's the definition? Warehouse is mentioned 5 times in the same paragraph with no definition. Tell me that this is not problematic. In the same way as what you're saying, a government entity can request a warrant. What the fuck does that mean? What's a government entity? Is a crown corporation a government entity? Is a third party that has been paid? Is a consultant that works for the federal government? Is that considered a government entity now? Like, who the fuck can ask for a warrant? Like, this is so messed up. It's so messed up.
Well, it needs a lot of clarification, and this is normally the job of the opposition party. This is the job of the Conservatives to ask these questions, to be hammering it out there, to bring, there's only so much people with smallish podcasts can do. At some point, someone with a national platform, i.e. a politician, has to be out there asking. And if they keep asking, eventually the mainstream media will have to discuss it at least. But they're allowing them to not.
Yep.
I was just saying, they're allowed, by not asking and not bringing it up, they're allowing the mainstream media to never talk about it, because they don't want to.
There's another part that worried me, is that they were saying under page 92, scope of warrant states the warrant authorized to peace officer or public officer.
Yeah.
So basically they're saying who obtained it, or a person acting under direction.
Yeah. Hey, what's that mean? Direction from
But
who? From the.
Did you see that part about the tracking? I wanted to talk
What
about
was
this.
can you bring that up?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna bring it up right here on the screen. This is just fucking scary. I wanted to bring it up with him, but obviously we can go for 3 hours, which we will next time. But look at that. Subsection 492.1 of the Act is replaced by the following. Tracking similar things. A justice or a judge who authorize a peace officer or public officer to obtain tracking data that relates to the location of a thing that a person uses, carries, or wears. Cell phone. Can you just say cell phone? Like, we know what you're talking about. But this is my point. Like, they've integrated a budget of tracking devices. And even here, this is the part I was talking about. The warrant authorized the peace officer or public officer or a person acting under their direction to install, activate, use, maintain, monitor, or remove the tracking device, including covertly.
Just go back down. Definition of tracking device. A tracking device means a device including a computer program. Interesting.
So an app on a cell phone, because a computer.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Considered a computer.
Yeah.
Again, I have programmed apps before. I used to code, so I fucking understand where those assholes are going, or where they're going with this. They're using computer because they don't want to tell you that they're talking about an app on your cell phone. So they're like computer programs.
I mean, if anyone's carrying a small, a computer program on their person that they regularly use, I don't know. I don't know any other better name for that kind of an item. But if anyone ever had anything, we could track that.
Listen to this. In this section, tracking devices mean a device included a computer program as defined in subsection 342.1 that may be used to obtain or record tracking data or to transmit it by any means of telecommunication. So basically, they're telling you that they have the right to track your cell phone.
Yes.
However, over any type of connection. So they're not talking Wi-Fi. They're talking about 5G. So when you're connecting, where you're in and about, they can actually track you. That's basically what they're saying. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that it's not just peace officer, that a public officer. What the fuck is a
Well,
public
does that mean
officer?
the dog catcher can fucking go and go through my mail and track me? I don't, would they need to be I'm a lot more like clear on this. Cyril makes a good point here. They're going for no defined limits to get rid of the checks and balances they are now, even though they already violate the limits. Yeah, that's the whole point, is be as vague and ambiguous as possible. And that way you're never really breaking the law, because no one knows what the fucking law is. As Nico said, anytime there's vague or ambiguous laws, that allows for loopholes. And yes, that allows for them, unintentionally, or it can also be intentional. Oftentimes, maybe this is why they're doing it, is so vague, so that they can use these as loopholes later.
Look at this right here. So what's the definition of a public officer?
Oh, okay.
Means a public officer who is appointed or designated to administer or enforce a federal or provincial law, and whose duty include the enforcement of this act or any other act of parliament.
So that's a lot of
public.
people.
So fonctionnaire public in French means public servant.
Yeah. So yeah.
So basically anybody that works for any level of government.
Because the child protection service person, like they're there to enforce the child protection laws. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can kind of see how this can be pretty vague.
I just want to take this one because Sylvie has said it a couple of times. This is incorrect, Sylvie. Turning off the Bluetooth on your phone is not going to change anything. GPS does not work through Bluetooth. It works through your 5G. And even if you disabled your 5G, it would still track you. There is no way for you on a phone that is what we call locked.
What about airplane mode?
You don't. It doesn't matter as much as they tell you that. Does your time update when you're on airplane mode? Of course it does. How does it do it? Because it's connected still to the server. So you got to be very, very careful, because back in the days, the only way for you, Snowden. Do you remember Snowden?
Yeah. Yep.
He has videos where he explains how to turn that off on you on your cell phone. And one of the main ways to do it was to pull your battery. But we don't have access to that anymore. There's a good reason why you cannot pull your battery off of your cell phone, because your cell phone, unless it's dead, completely dead, even if it's turned off, it's not really turned off. Have you ever noticed that if you turn off your cell phone, let's say it's at 100%, let it there for a while, come back, it will lose drainage.
It won't be, yeah.
Because it's never really turned off. The only way to turn it off is if you pull the battery. So unfortunately, turning off the Bluetooth doesn't change anything. You need to have a phone that is cracked, meaning that you can access the actual OS, the software that runs your phone, the operating system, and modify it, which we cannot. We are no longer able to do that, but there are cell phones out there that allow you to do that. They're very specialized. They're not cheap. They're not that functional. Unfortunately, it's not like, if Google and Apple do make great phones, but they are hoping that you're going to keep on buying them because they want to attract you. So there's Sylvie, again, I come from that world, and your Bluetooth has nothing to do with your GPS. Your Bluetooth just allows you to connect to other devices like your cell phone, another cell phone, do an AirDrop, for example. Most of the time the technology is Bluetooth. But what I'm saying is that GPS does not run on that at all. It runs over your wireless connection, that is either your 5G or your Wi-Fi, but it doesn't stop. There's nothing that you can do right now, unfortunately, on regular cell phones that everybody has to turn off your GPS, unless you buy a phone that allows you specifically to do that. Or like I did during the lockdowns, I had an old school flip phone that did not have GPS on it, that I would just use. There was no internet. There was no SIM card in it. It was just to make emergency calls. That's it.
Yeah. Joe Stradamus, the genius of the U.S. in calling the surrender to tyranny law the Patriot Act is that it implied that anyone who opposed it was not a patriot. That stopped a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about. Yeah, that's why they do these things. Oftentimes, laws will be named after the actual opposite of what they do, because that way, it's often something you would never oppose, like the Affordable Care Act. If you oppose it, they'd be like, "Oh, so you're against affordable health care," which is, of course, a misnomer. It's a non sequitur. It's a non-starter. It doesn't, but it's effective, right? Because as you say, anyone who opposes the massive security state apparatus that was put in place by the Patriot Act, if you opposed it, they could say, "Oh, so you're not a patriot." And of course, that is, how they manipulate people, and it works on most people, unfortunately.
And why is a bill about our security, securing our borders, 140 pages long, with a bunch of rights that has nothing to do with securing the borders? Like, why are they trying to obtain powers that they do not have right now that will not simplify the action of securing our borders? Because remember, the exportation part was on transporting goods within Canada that could be destined for the US, for example, even as they're being transported. So does that mean that eventually my shirts might go to the US? I'm transporting them in my car. That means they get to arrest me, strip down my car, see if I'm not smuggling drugs. They get to come in my basement or my warehouse that they don't even define in the bill. That could be what? My private garage, because I have some t-shirts in there. Like, it's the door that it opens is just fucking crazy. And that the goal is this, right? People can believe that the government is good, but as John said, ultimate power corrupts ultimately. So if I don't want them to have that right, they work for us. They work for us. Never forget that those guys are supposed to be elected, not selected, and they work for us, not the other way around. If there's somebody that should be spied on, is our government. Those are the ones that should have cameras on them day in, day out. We should have public access to every single piece of information that they share. I don't care that it's a private email. I don't care that it's a phone call. It should be recorded, and we should be able to go on a database and check in lifetime. Oh, Mark Scarney just jumped on a call. Awesome. Let's listen to what he's talking about. If
That'd
somebody
cool.
should be fucking looked at, is those fucking assholes, not me.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be actually pretty cool, kind of cool. Wise guy says, I remember George Bush declaring, "If you're not with us, then you are against us." Chilling at the time.
You're a Taliban. You're a Taliban.
Chilling now. Yeah, it was a serious issue. What did you guys want to talk about the Trump Musk thing, or should we? Do you want to go early?
It's so funny because it just popped on my screen like it just happened. My screen refreshed and Elon Musk just dropped that.
Well, remember we said this.
bombshell.
Like we were talking about this weeks or months ago. I was like, why he doesn't want to release him? I mean, of course he's connected to Epstein. He's got those interviews. There's an interview with him from like 10 or 15 years ago where he's like, "Oh yeah, Jeff's a great guy, a lot of fun. He likes the ladies young though," and that's why I'm all for like finding all this shit out, but like people who like give Trump a pass on this as if he actually is going to get to the bottom of it, I don't know. I think that's a bit silly. Trump is absolutely, he's a billionaire elite, man. He's not. I think Trump he's the right personality type, the right guy to do some things. Like, you need to have a Trump to be pushing against things like DEI, the woke nonsense, identity politics, and that needs to be pushed back at. But he is not the all perfect savior that a lot of people on the right seem to want to make him.
And so there's two things that's funny about this. First is that people actually believe that Elon Musk and Trump are at war right now.
You think you think they're faking?
Megan, do you know Megyn Kelly?
Yeah.
She released a video where she admitted that Trump kind of used the feud that they had in order to get more attention. So we're talking about mega troll in chief.
Yeah.
We're talking about
two mega trolls, to be honest. Two mega trolls.
You got a guy that is a mega troll that is trolling another guy that has a social media platform. Like, come on, you can't believe this shit. Like I told you before the show, every single time I see something like that, my tinfoil hat just appears out of nowhere and is like, okay, so what's really going on behind the scene that those fuckers are hiding? Same thing, like I was saying, them telling us that Joe Biden is sick and he's dying is because they know that something's coming down the pipe that's gonna,
I didn't hear
people
that.
are gonna be outraged
Is
What?
Biden dying? Is Biden dying?
Oh, yes, cancer. Don't you remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. From a couple weeks ago.
Why
yeah,
do
yeah.
you think they said it now? Because we know there's something down the pipe that's coming that's going to expose Biden for what he did. And they're like, how dare you go after an old man? This dude cannot be held accountable.
Of
He has
course.
cancer. It's the same thing here because there was people posting that Elon Musk has ties to Epstein too, that supposedly he introduced him to one of his girlfriends. So they all know each other. Let's be fucking honest here. There's a good reason why the Epstein files will never be released, is because all the people in power are part of it and they don't want us to know. And the
100%.
Democrats right now are asking is like, let's release the Epstein file now.
They weren't saying that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Sat on it for 4 years.
Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
Because he's probably part of the sniffies.
They're all
Fuck off.
the sniffer in chief.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
The
just, I mean,
sniffer, the mega troll in chief is Trump, and the sniffer in chief is Biden. Awesome.
yeah. I mean,
That
people
is great.
people need to understand that like this isn't a left or right thing. This is a billionaire fucking elite club thing. It's a club, and we ain't in it. And you probably don't want to be in that club. But if you do, there's something wrong with you. But yeah,
And is it surprising that Mark Carney showed up to Trump? They're almost high-fiving, hugging each other.
exactly. Right.
Elbows up, bitches, between him and JD Vance. It's not surprising. They all know the same people the same way as. Did you see there was a bunch of pictures with Maxwell and Mark Carney? They all know each other. Maxwell
Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes.
So they all know each other. They're all part of the same group that we're not part of. They sell us the illusion of the right versus the left. There's no such thing. There's no such thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean,
like who was it? Hot Rod. Who's the guy that we were calling Hot Rod? Abbott. Senator Abbott from Texas has a great video somewhere where he explains how they get in. He's like, every single time you see a bill that a Republican is approving that he should never approve, or a Democrat is backing that he should never back, that's because they have something on him. And he starts explaining the process of how the people at B, the same people that Doge never had the balls to go after military complex, will use tactics in order to have them pass bills that they don't want to pass just because they have nice little recorded videos of them doing things they don't want to be known to do. There's a good reason why Epstein unalived himself and Diddy is in the same fucking prison as the other guy. And did you see that he doesn't even look like himself?
Oh yeah.
Did you see the picture? No. Did you see the pictures of before and what he looks like now? His eyes are not the same. His face is not the same. So people are like, that's not even Diddy. Like somebody has a skin suit right now. He's in prison. So those guys are handlers. They're not the people at the top. They're just people that go. They're the sacrificial lambs, and they're like, oh, how long before they unalive themselves?
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty funny to watch though. This giant divorce happening out in real time. Yeah, Nick says Carney's wife went to school with Maxwell. Yeah. I mean,
that's just a coincidence though. They don't know each other. The school was very big. They have no idea who they are. Of course not. Those pictures were exaggerating. They weren't that close. It's the camera angle made it look like they were talking to each other, but they weren't really.
Oh yeah, everybody knows everybody. They're all part of the club. Sasquatch says politicians are like attorneys. The prosecutor and the defense hate each other in a courtroom. As soon as they clock out, they're getting dinner together. Oh yeah, that's true too. There's no, it's all theater. It's all theater for the peasants to pretend like there's actually some point to all this, that there is a left and a right.
Speech of the Throne was the perfect example. You literally had Justin Trudeau sitting right next to what was his name? Harper. And they're like they're sitting right next to each other just having fun. There's videos of Trump and Obama getting along, not before he became president. After.
Oh yeah. So it was at Jimmy Carter's funeral. So it wasn't even that long ago. Yeah.
Nope. So I like the way you say it. It's a show for the peasants, and we are fucking entertained.
I don't know if this is real, but it does sound like something Trump would say. I'm just looking at a tweet that he just made. Let me see.
Mega troll is at it again.
He says, I'll get rid of that blue thing. Says, the only thing gayer and more retarded than Elon is Mark Carney. It can't be real, right?
Yeah, that's fake.
But the fact that you
can tell that it's fake.
The fact that you're not quite sure is pretty funny.
I saw a post earlier on Instagram that says the gayest thing to happen during Pride Month is the breakup between Elon Musk and Trump. I'm like, hey-o!
Yeah. Hey-o. Yeah, that was really funny.
But it is true. They're trolling. You know that I don't believe there was a great AI image that was made. You literally had Trump and Elon Musk sitting next to each other on their cell phone. Hey, call me retarded. And they're just, they're just laughing. Like, I don't believe it for a second. It's all fucking, he's not saying anything. We already knew that Donald Trump was part of the Epstein file. We just don't know. Was he just on the airplane or did he go to Kitty Island? This is the part that is unclear, is what's the involvement of his participation? That's what they didn't know, but we know he's in the file. They said it.
Oh yeah, he's got.
This is nothing new. Justin Trudeau was in the files. He had been on the plane of Epstein. This has been released years ago. We already knew that. So,
oh yeah. There's no.
Now, what is it? What's his involvement? He definitely went. Like, fuck off. We all know that fucker doesn't shoot straight. Like, there's a good reason why his wife divorced him in the middle of him being. He's the most powerful guy in Canada. That's not enough to keep your wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess the black dudes he was sleeping with on the weekends was too much, right? That was the hard limit. No black dudes. I don't know. Yeah. It's come on, you know.
It's
all a show. I love the way you say it. It's a show for the peasants. And
yeah, it is. It's just to
keep us entertained.
Yeah, bread and circuses. While they
remember lockdown. Remember the lockdowns? You could not go to church, but you could go to the LCBO. You could buy alcohol. You could go buy weed. You could buy all the drugs you wanted.
Oh
yes. But God forbid you go to church, bro. Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, I don't go to
gym
church.
Is closed. I can't go to the gym. See, you go to the gym. You weren't able to go to the gym, but I could still go buy alcohol and drugs, and that wasn't a problem. And somehow
that's so ridiculous.
It was for my health.
It's also so ridiculous. What do you want to? You want to cut her a little early since it's Friday? You want to?
Are you trying to put that on me? You're like my wife right now.
Yes.
I don't feel like cooking, but I want to go to the restaurant, but I don't know what I want.
Yeah. So you want to go to? Just doing the dance.
What do you feel like eating? I can tell just the way you're shaking your arms that you can't dance worth a shit. You dance like a white guy, don't you?
Buddy, that's how you do it, brother. That's
that no hips at all.
Gets all of the ladies.
Let's call it a day, brother.
That's me in the club. Yeah, well, I thought that was a great conversation with John, and I'd love to have him back. And he
already reached out to his team, by the way. It's already reached out. He already replied. I haven't read the email yet, but his dude, Julian, is like
good guy.
I don't know if he's a good guy, but he's fucking on the job. Like that dude is fucking working. He apologized to me earlier for not responding fast enough. I'm like, bro, sometimes I have to wait days and weeks before somebody gets back to me. You respond. I had 10 email exchanges with him over the past 2 days, brother.
Really? Eh?
Oh, he's on during the podcast. Since John has left, I sent them an email. He responded to me already.
Really? Eh? Wow.
That's since as I'm talking, we're having an email exchange. So yes.
Jesus. He's that's funny. He gets back to you in like 10 minutes. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't get back sooner.
My bad, bro.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the show and John here. I thought that was actually some excellent comments. Some really good engagement from the audience. As usual, you could have been anywhere in the world today, and you chose to be here with us, and we will always appreciate that. If you are watching and you're a new face, please welcome. Please remember to stick around. Hopefully you engage, ask some questions, drop some questions in the comment box, and we'll always get to it. As you can see, this show is built on audience participation. And if you do want to support us, remember to like and share, or like and subscribe to the channel. And if you really want to support us, the best way to do that is become a member. It will give you access to the Discord server, and of course, you will support independent journalism like we have here, which is a very high-end way to describe what we do, but we also have some fun while we do it. Guys, be safe. Have a great weekend. We will catch you on Monday, and remember to hit us up in the Discord channel if you want to. If you have some things you want us to talk about. We will see you then.
Peace out.
Bye.